Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ade Rizky Zain. My NPM is 19060031. I am from class 3A. Today we are going to learn about narrative text. When we talk about narrative text, it can be started from a story and a past experience. Most act dealing to this object, people usually call it narrative. So, what is narrative text actually? It is text focusing on specific participant and a piece of text which tells story with complication or problematic event with resolution to solve the problem. So, we can roughly say that narrative text is like someone with complication or problem which make their condition can get even worse, but then those problem will lead them a resolution that can make their condition can better than before. Okay, now you know the definition of narrative text. Now let's continue to social function of narrative text. Since each type of text has their own purpose or function, narrative text also has one too. The purpose of the function of the narrative text is to tell story of someone or something from the past event. But it's not only that. The function is to entertain the reader and listener. Let's continue to generic structure of narrative text. Here a generic structure of narrative text that all or almost all narrative text form. The first one is orientation. You can call it as exposition or the beginning of the story. In this part, the scene is set and the characters are introduced. That way, it is called the beginning of the story. The second part is complication. It is called rising action or the middle of the story. In this part, there is a new problem which add the conflict to the story and lead us to the climax. Wow, it will be very good climax. The third part is resolution. We can call it the ending of the story. In this part, the conflict are solved. Well, we have the definition, the social function, and also the generic structure. There is another important thing related to this kind of text, connected to the form of language use. Yeah, it's language feature. Every kind of text in English has their own language feature as well as narrative text. Also, narrative text there is some language feature in narrative text. It uses simple past tense, and then it uses figurative language and also progressive verb. In narrative text, when we talk about series of events, that must we use figurative language and also progressive verb. And then it uses temporal conjunction because each sentence or paragraph are containing each other. There must we use temporal conjunction to connection between those paragraphs and or sentences, and it uses dialogues to express attitude, personality, and also relationship. In this section, we will identify the generic structure from the story of Cinderella. Cinderella. Once upon a time, there lived a girl named Cinderella. She lived with her stepmother and two stepsisters. The stepmother and two doctors didn't like Cinderella. They treated Cinderella very bad. Cinderella usually did the hardest work in the house, such as scrubbing the floor, cleaning the pot and pan, and preparing the food for the family, and so on. One day, a ball was to be held by the royal family of the kingdom to find the prince's spouse. Cinderella wanted to go to the ball, but her stepmother asked her to stay at home and do the housework. Cinderella cried. Then there was a fairy godmother standing beside her. Why are you crying, Cinderella? Fairy godmother asked. Because I want to go to the ball, but my stepmother insists me to stay at home. Besides, I don't have any beautiful dress, said Cinderella. Then the fairy turned Cinderella's ugly dress became the most beautiful dress and with beautiful slippers. Then fairy also turned a pumpkin into a parking coach and the mist become 6 white horses. Cinderella finally could go to the ball, but she had to come back before midnight, before the spell ended. After the ball, Cinderella amazed everybody there, including the prince. The prince asked her to dance. Cinderella had a wonderful time at the ball, but all of a sudden, she heard the sound of a clock, the first stroke of midnight. Remember what the fairies had said. Cinderella ran back to go to home, but she lost one of her slippers in ballroom. The prince picked up her slipper and would search for the girl whose foot fit with the slipper. A few days later, the prince proclaimed that he would marry the girl whose feet fit the slipper. Her stepsister tried on the slipper, but it was too small for them. No matter how hard they squeezed their toes into it, in the end, the king's soldier let Cinderella try on the slipper. She stuck out her foot and the peg slipper, the slipper on. It fitted perfectly. Finally, she was driven to the palace. The prince was overjoyed to see her again. They were married and lived happily ever after. The generic structure from the story. The orientation is once upon a time there lived a girl named Cinderella. The complication is Cinderella wanted to go to the ball, but her stepmother asked her to stay at home and do the houseworks. The resolution, in the end, the king's soldier let Cinderella try on the slipper. She stuck out her foot and the peg slipped the slipper on. It fitted perfectly. Okay, that's all my explanation. Thank you for listening and watching. Thank you. Bye.